The draw just delivered one of the most explosive matches possible at Indian Wells. Naomi Osaka is suddenly standing across the net from the most dominant player in women's tennis right now, Aryna Sabalenka, and when Osaka was told this was her next opponent, her reaction said everything about the moment we are about to witness, because this is not just another round of tennis at Indian Wells. This is former world number one against the current world number one. This is power against power, and this might be the moment that tells us whether Naomi Osaka is truly back at the top of the sport. And what makes this story even more fascinating is that just a few weeks ago, many fans were asking a very different question. Is Osaka really ready to compete with the best again after everything she has been through? Now suddenly she is in the round of 16 at Indian Wells, and the next name on the schedule is Aryna Sabalenka, and Naomi Osaka did not sound nervous about it at all. In fact, she sounded excited. To understand why this moment is so important, we need to rewind a little bit. Because the road that brought Osaka to this match has not been simple. At the start of the 2026 season, there was a lot of optimism around Naomi Osaka. Fans were hoping to see a strong comeback year, and the Australian Open seemed like the perfect stage for it. But things did not go as smoothly as expected. An injury interrupted what was shaping up to be a positive run, and suddenly the momentum disappeared. Once again, people were wondering whether Osaka could stay healthy long enough to rebuild her confidence and rhythm on tour. For a player who once dominated the biggest stages in tennis, those doubts can be difficult, but if there is one thing Naomi Osaka has proven throughout her career, it is that she tends to show up when the stakes are highest, and Indian Wells might be the place where that comeback finally begins to feel real again, because the Osaka that arrived in the desert looked focused, aggressive, and, most importantly, healthy. Her opening matches showed a level that reminded fans exactly why she once ruled the sport. She started her campaign with a win over Victoria Jimenez-Kasanseva, a young player known for her speed and energy around the court. That match was not just about the result. It was about Osaka finding her rhythm again. Her serve was landing cleanly, her ground strokes were heavy, and her confidence was slowly building point by point. Then came another solid performance against Camila Osorio, and that match told us something interesting about Osaka's mindset. Right now she looked calm, she looked patient, and she looked like someone who knows she still belongs among the best players in the world. With those victories, she earned a place in the round of 16, and that is when the tournament delivered the news everyone started talking about: next opponent, Aryna Sabalenka. Now, if you follow women's tennis closely, you know exactly why that matchup instantly created excitement. Sabalenka right now is not just another top player, she is the world number one. She is one of the most powerful hitters the WTA Tour has ever seen, and she is playing some of the most confident tennis of her career. Her aggressive baseline style has overwhelmed opponents for months, and she recently reached a milestone that placed her alongside legends like Serena Williams and Martina Navratilova on an exclusive list that tells you exactly what level she is operating at. So when Naomi Osaka was asked about this upcoming clash, many people expected a cautious answer, maybe something respectful, maybe something safe, but Osaka did not sound intimidated. Instead, she sounded energized. She explained that matches like this are exactly why she trains and practices. She said it is exciting to face the world number one, and she even admitted something that longtime fans of her career will recognize immediately. When she was younger, she loved showing up for the biggest matches, the big moments, the biggest stages. Those were the situations where Naomi Osaka often produced her best tennis, and if you think about it, that statement alone tells us something important about her mentality going into this match. She is not viewing Sabalenka as an impossible obstacle, she is viewing this as an opportunity, and that mindset could make this clash incredibly dangerous for the current world number one, because when Osaka plays freely, she becomes one of the most explosive players in the sport. Her serve is one of the most powerful on the WTA Tour. Her forehand can finish rallies instantly, and when her confidence rises, she has the ability to control matches against anyone. But the story becomes even more interesting when you look at the history between these two players, because surprisingly, they have only played each other once before. That meeting happened years ago at the US Open in 2018. At that time, Naomi Osaka was just starting to announce herself to the world, and that tournament ended up becoming one of the most unforgettable events in modern tennis history. Osaka defeated Aryna Sabalenka in that match, and then she went on to win the entire US Open title. That victory changed her career forever. Suddenly, she was not just a promising player, she was a Grand Slam champion. So when Osaka was asked to remember that match against Sabalenka, she reflected on how much both players have evolved since then. She talked about watching Sabalenka develop into the player she is today, and she made it clear that she respects the level Sabalenka has reached, but at the same time, there was a sense that Osaka sees this as a new chapter rather than a continuation of the past. Both players are different now. Sabalenka has become the dominant world number one, and Osaka is trying to climb back to the very top again. That combination creates a fascinating dynamic because Sabalenka enters this match with momentum and ranking advantage, but Osaka enters with something equally powerful: freedom. When a former champion is rebuilding their career, they sometimes play their most dangerous tennis. They swing freely, they take risks, they chase big wins that remind the world what they are capable of, and this match might be the perfect stage for that kind of performance. But we also need to talk about the challenge Osaka is facing. Aryna Sabalenka is currently one of the toughest opponents anyone can face in women's tennis. Her power off both wings can break down defenses quickly. Her serve has become more reliable over the past few seasons, and perhaps most importantly, she has learned how to control her emotions during matches. Earlier in her career, Sabalenka sometimes struggled with consistency, but the version we are seeing now is far more disciplined. She combines aggression with patience, and that balance has helped her dominate many top players. So if Osaka wants to win this match, she will need more than just flashes of brilliance. She will need sustained intensity. She will need to serve extremely well, and she will need to handle the pace that Sabalenka brings from the baseline. This is where the tactical battle becomes fascinating, because both players prefer to attack. Both players like to dictate rallies, and neither one enjoys being pushed deep behind the baseline. That means the match could turn into a battle for early control of points. Whoever steps inside the court first might take command of rallies, and that could create explosive exchanges from the very first game. But there is also a psychological layer that cannot be ignored. Sabalenka carries the pressure of being world number one. She is expected to win. She is expected to dominate every opponent sees, beating her as a statement victory. Meanwhile, Osaka enters with slightly different expectations. She is respected, she is admired, but she is still rebuilding. That difference might allow her to swing more freely, and sometimes in tennis that mental freedom can produce incredible performances. Now here is something else that makes this moment so intriguing. Indian Wells has often been a turning point tournament for many players. The conditions are unique, the crowd is passionate, and big matches here tend to create momentum that carries through the rest of the season. If Osaka manages to defeat the world number one here, it could instantly change the narrative of her entire year. Suddenly, the conversation would shift from comeback questions to title contender discussions, and that is why this match has captured so much attention among tennis fans. It is not just about one round, it might be about the direction of an entire season. Of course, Sabalenka will not want to allow that story to happen. She has worked extremely hard to reach the top ranking, and players in that position know that every tournament becomes a test of their authority. Defending that position means defeating opponents who are hungry for an upset, and Osaka is exactly the kind of opponent who can create that threat. So when these two players walk onto the court at Indian Wells, the atmosphere is likely to be electric. Fans love seeing powerful, aggressive tennis, and that is exactly what this matchup promises. But there is also something emotional about it. For many tennis followers, Naomi Osaka represents one of the most compelling journeys in modern sport. Her rise to fame was dramatic. Her time away from the spotlight was deeply personal, and her attempts to return to elite competition have been closely watched. Seeing her challenge the world number one again feels like a significant chapter in that journey. Now here is the question that I want to ask you, because this moment could go in several directions. Do you believe Naomi Osaka has the game right now to defeat Aryna Sabalenka, or do you think the world number one will simply prove too strong? Tell me your prediction in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of match where fans see the game differently. Some believe Sabalenka's consistency will dominate, others believe Osaka's power could produce a surprise, and honestly, that uncertainty is what makes tennis so exciting. Personally, I think this match will reveal a lot about Osaka's current level. If she can push Sabalenka into a long competitive battle, it will be a clear signal that she is returning to the elite tier of the WTA Tour, and if she somehow pulls off the victory, it could become one of the defining moments of the early 2026 season. Either way, the tennis world will be watching closely, because moments like this remind us why we love the sport. Two champions, two powerful games, one massive opportunity, and somewhere inside that clash there might be a story that shapes the rest of the tournament, and maybe even the rest of the season. For fans of Naomi Osaka, this is the kind of match they have been waiting to see. Again, a big stage, a huge opponent, and a chance to prove that the former world number one still belongs among the very best. Whether she wins or loses, the performance itself could tell us something important about the future, and that is why this showdown at Indian Wells suddenly feels like one of the most compelling matches of the entire tournament, because sometimes tennis delivers a matchup that feels bigger than just